of more water into the gravy, meaning make a bit of extra food so that you can send some towards your neighbors. Even that, when we're having our barbecues and the smell is going and the scent is going towards our neighbors, they also have little children. It's not that they're starving or they're hungry, but because they have seen you enjoying, now it becomes your right to make them part and parcel of that. Send some food towards your neighbors, to your neighbors. Unfortunately, we have this only in Ramadan. Oh, when it's Ramadan, mashallah, send some samosas and send bhajiyas, this, that, before iftar and finish. The whole year we don't want to know our neighbor. So the rights of the neighbors is not only for Ramadan. It's throughout the year. One of the rights of the neighbors is to protect the honor and dignity of your neighbor and their families. If you see something happening in your neighborhood, for example, husband and wife were fighting, or the father had an incident with his son, etc., etc., we should not be the spokesperson and going around telling everyone. We don't have to be the BBC, what we say. What they say in Gujarati, Panchat Council. Don't be that Panchat Council, We just go and make Panchat of everyone. We need to protect the honor. If you protect the honor of your neighbor will protect your honor. Another hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was asked, what are the most evils of sins? One is you get the major sins, the gunah kabira, what you call it. The major sins. But from those major sins, what's the most evil ones? So the Prophet ﷺ said, number one is to ascribe partners with Allah. Meaning to be, not to accept Allah as one and only. Major sin. And Rasulullah ﷺ said that fornicating with your neighbor's wife, with your neighbor's spouse, is one of the most evil sins. Now in this, why I've mentioned this is Mufassirin have actually, the Muhaddithin have mentioned that, why did the Prophet ﷺ specifically mention that? Why? Because unfortunately it's there in society. It's found in society. So sometimes physically you might not be doing the action, but with our eyes, we look at our neighbors' spouses with an evil eye, with a bad intention. We have evil intentions with people who are around us. All this falls into this. And this is the most major sin. Just like how we would love our own families to be protected, our own daughters to be protected, our own wives to be protected, it is our right that we protect the dignity and honor of our neighbors as well. And I mentioned backbiting about our neighbors. Another hadith comes to mind, where Rasulullah ﷺ was asked that so and so person, so and so lady, she performs salah all night and she fasts during the day, the optional fast. But she backbites about her neighbors and she causes a lot of trouble and disturbance towards her neighbors. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Hiya fin nar." She is a woman of hell. Allah Ta'ala save us. So all this falls under protecting the honor of our neighbor. How to benefit our neighbors, we mentioned giving gifts, etc. When we give a gift, not only through Ramadan but throughout the year. If we have bought something for ourselves, buy something for our neighbors. We bought something for our children, buy something for the children of our neighbors. Another right of the neighbor is when the neighbor invites you, just like our right for a Muslim to a Muslim. When a neighbor invites you to a meal, then you should accept the invitation. Or you should invite them to a meal. Accept the invitation. Yes, unless the invitation is consisting something that is not part of deen, that is haram, etc. For example, a wedding where there's music blasting, or the meals is not halal. You could even address your neighbor and tell them that we only eat pure halal meat. You could buy it from so and so shop. Or we only vegetarian, for example, and then accept the invitation. Why? Because Islam teaches us this, the society, to build a society and to build a community in Islam and using the Islamic principles is simply beautiful. It's so simple and the roots are deep, deep grounded. Imagine every person today how we are living in cubicles and everyone is in the individual world. We know what's happening in America, we don't know what's happening in our neighborhood. We do not realize that my neighbor is going to sleep hungry. Rasulullah said, Wallahi la yu'min, la yu'min, la yu'min. A person is not a believer. You are not a Muslim. You are not a mu'min. A person who sleeps while his neighbor sleeps hungry. You sleep with your belly full, your neighbor is sleeping hungry. Meaning, you do not know what's going on in your neighbor's house. If there's a funeral in our neighborhood, we should attend that funeral. That is the right of the neighbor. To console him in his sad moments and to be happy with him in his happy moments. That is the right of the neighbor. These are different activities that we can bring into our lives, different aspects of the rights of our neighbors. If it's the day of Eid, let our neighbors know that it's the day of Eid, it's the day of celebration. We are taking our children out for a football game, etc., etc. Let our neighbors know as well. Maybe they also are looking for a place to go. And another aspect of our protecting the honor and dignity of the neighbors is to stay away from jealousy and hatred towards the things that Allah has granted to your neighbor. Sometimes your neighbor be more richer than you. He might be more wealthier than you. He might be enjoying life better than you. Let that jealousy not be creep into you. And that's for everyone, but specifically for the neighbor because he's always right next to you. So you see that beautiful car coming, parking off. You see the children enjoying life. And you see he's flying out of country every now and then. Let that jealousy not come into you. Stay away from envy and jealousy of your neighbors. Make dua for them. One of the best ways to stay away from jealousy is you make dua in favor of them. That Allah give them even more. Give me also, but give them even more. May Allah Ta'ala give me and one and all the ability. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين.